We are not in the race today, let's be clear, as Europe. So my top priority is to say what? First, Europe has to innovate. This is the first message. We have to innovate, invest, accelerate. My top priority. We have assets to do so. Europe is lagging behind. But in the current situation, France is number one in Europe. So for me, the objective of the summit is to give an impetus and to have this wake-up call with new decision and acceleration of investment in order to bridge it. Having said that, our view is very clear. We want the best of the world. So we want our own research, our own startups to grow up and scale up. But we want to team up as well with American, Indian, Gulfian, Chinese players. Alibaba and Google will be here at the summit.
But your first part of your answer there basically encapsulated the Draghi report into competitiveness and what Europe needs to do.
Exactly.
The issue with this is not the concept or the philosophy or policy, it's the execution.
Exactly.
And time and again, Europe has not managed to do it.
Look,
it's complicated.
I think Europe is a unique political creation. And by definition, you have to articulate 27 countries. So it's more heavy than just one single country. But having said that, when I look at the past period of time, we were super slow after the financial crisis in 2008 and 2010 to fix the situation. It took much more time than in the US. And we killed a lot of potential growth by our divisions and because we were too slow. Now, look at the past few years. In COVID time, we were very efficient. We decided super rapidly. We protect much better than the US economy. We reacted and innovate all together and took the right decision. In front of the Russian war in Ukraine, we were very united and we were super fast. For the very first time in our history, right during the COVID, 2 months after the beginning, we took the decision with Angela Merkel and afterwards at 27 to issue common debt. So there is this possibility. My point is to say now, with the new administration in the US, with the current tension between US and China, given the state of the world and this huge revolution of AI, Europe has to accelerate. Europe has to innovate and completely streamline its model. What does it mean?
Well, you say it has to. You say it has to.
Will do.
That's the bit that I challenge you on,
Will
sir.
do.
Why?
Because everybody now is sure about that. You mentioned Mario Draghi, my good friend, but we had the Draghi report, the Letta report. We had a common Franco-German paper in Meseberg last May. We are totally aligned. You had now the mission statement of the new president of the Commission, von der Leyen. Very clear, matter of execution. February, March, we have to focus on killing some crazy regulations, simplification of the current environment. Europe has to simplify its rules, make it much more business friendly, and resynchronize with the US. Everything which is a killer for competitiveness of the European industry has to be reassessed, postponed or cancelled. First pillar. The second pillar, national security, European security. We have to protect. The US is protecting a lot of sectors vis-à-vis Europe and China. We have to do the same in parallel in order precisely not to be a market of consumers, but producers. Third, we have to invest much more because today we are a paradise for savings. You have much more savings in Europe than in the US. Can you imagine it? The problem is that we are not united, we are not efficient, and we over-regulated this sector, meaning this savings is leaking to the US economy and going to the financing of the equities. By very simple reform, solvency, Basel on this sector for insurance and banks, securitization program, and the finalization in the months to come of the capital market union, we can keep these savings, channel a large part of them on the equity in order to finance our economy and innovation. When you launch a startup in AI or in mobility or whatever, right, you have to deal with 27 regulation. To unite all the system between the 27 is the right way to proceed. So here is the package. This is not a program. This is what in February, March, April, the Commission will deliver. I spent 2 hours with the President von der Leyen last week, and we are very clear on the roadmap. We will have in February a first series of announcements by the Commission. In March, we will have a council focused on competitiveness, and we will follow up. On top of it, we need an AI agenda. because we have to bridge the gap with the US and China on AI. Otherwise, we will use the AI being produced and invented in the US and China, but we will not be the one to control ours.
Let me just, how much has your thinking and your execution been put on turbocharge by the new administration and its much more muscular, some would say brutal way in which it's basically saying, we're going to do it. Europe, we're going to do it anyway.
Look, I will be very clear. I think the election of President Trump is as well a wake-up call on top of the others for the Europeans. It means you cannot procrastinate anymore. So this is why I will work very hard to have obviously the backing of France, but some key countries, with Ursula von der Leyen and her team in order to deliver this package and this agenda.
The idea is, though, Europe, what we're really talking about on this is a change of mindset here. That Europe, for example, as Draghi says, can't have 27 champions in certain sectors. It's going to have a pan-European industrial AI policy. That is something that Europe has never had and seems not to want to have.
But guess what? Till the very first second Europe was created, it didn't exist before. Guess what? Till we decided with Angela Merkel to issue together common debt, it didn't exist before. So we have, in this moment where the unthinkable is happening, we have to deliver brand and ambitious new things and big things. If you take the last 3 decades, the GDP per capita increased 2 times more in the US than in Europe. It's incredible. And why? Because of the lack of innovation and diffusion of this innovation. So this is why, for me, this is a top priority. And you're right. What does it mean? It means we have to simplify our organization and our program and to say we are ready to invest in the best athletes in Europe and to say it will not be in your country, not in your country, but in this one.
But we've got a problem, and the problem could be tariffs. And I raise that because the context, as you just said, the president has basically said tariffs are coming against Europe. You've already said that if and when they come, Europe will retaliate. That's a given in a sense. Are you expecting tariffs? Are you ready for them? From my look,
I think it's not the top priority in the current environment, given all the challenges we have. We have to fix Ukraine. We have a situation in the Middle East. We have this competition between US and China. And we have all this innovation from AI to clean tech, as well to deliver. Honestly, I don't think it should be the top priority. Nevertheless, what is the concern of President Trump? And you know that we have a very good relation and we speak very regularly. He says, I'm not happy with the situation with Europe because I have a trade deficit. When you look at the situation, my first question to the US, is the European Union your first problem? No, I don't think so. Your first problem is China. So you should focus on the first problem. Second, Europe is an ally for you. If you want Europe to be engaged on this more investment on security and defense, if you want Europe to develop, which is, I think, the interest of the US, you should not hurt the European economies by threatening it with tariffs. Third, the integration of the value chain between US and Europe is super high. What does it mean? It means if you put tariffs on a lot of sectors, it will increase the costs and create inflation in the US. Is it what your people want? I'm not so sure. Fourth, it's very simple. When you look at the trade deficits, you can have the figures mentioned by President Trump. But I insisted in my discussion with him on some very small issues. Look at the financial outflows. A lot of the European savings are going to finance the US economy. If you start putting tariffs everywhere, you cut the links. It will not be good for the financing of the US economy. Second, digital services. We are big, huge buyers of digital services. It is unfair not to take the digital services in the trade deficit and to say, I have a trade deficit, but I don't speak about the digital services. You will keep buying them. Why? Why?
Are you prepared to go head to head on this or toe to toe on this?
I already did so and I will did it again. And I think we should be ready to obviously be in the room and react. But I think more than that, the European Union has to be ready to deliver what we want and what we need for ourselves.
Can I suggest to you that the European Union is not fit for purpose when it comes to dealing with something like President Trump, who's threatening tariffs and basically saying my way or the highway?
I think it could be the opposite when you have direct contacts and you are clear. I think the European Union should not be the one to wait for the initiative of the others and just react. What we have to do is to act for ourselves and to tell our people, this is our project, this is what we want. This is why, for me, the top priority of Europe is competitiveness agenda, is defense and security agenda, is AI ambition, and let's go fast for ourselves. If in the meanwhile we have tariff issue, we will discuss them and we will fix it.
Competitiveness. How much is that your big push now? Is that what your goal is for your last 2 years? To really put all your capital, political capital, all your energy? And are you the right person to do this now?
Look, first, I was elected by my people 2 years ago, and 2.5 years ago, re-elected, and I have a mandate for 5 years. So, I mean, you have the legitimacy because this is a democratic system, and people choose the leader, and I think it's best than other systems. I still believe that democracy is probably the best possible system, or the less awful one. Second, I will fight till the very end, till the last second, till the last minute. I will fight. I will be for my country, because this is my DNA. So, with the same energy, I will fight for more innovation, ambition, a stronger France and a stronger Europe.
Which first?
This
France
is what,
or Europe?
I mean, France first. I'm elected by French people, but I do believe that the future of France is made of a stronger Europe as well. So for me, it's so interlinked. But obviously, I'm elected by the French people, and I'm the French president. So I mean, it will always be France first. But I really believe that the French agenda is intertwined with the European agenda. When I spoke 7 years ago about independence of Europe, strategic autonomy, everybody said, okay, are you the right guy to do so? Are you sure? I said, yeah, we did it. Now everybody speaks about that in Europe. We issue common debt as Europeans. We reacted commonly vis-à-vis Russia.
Are you ready for the fight?
I am fighting, and I'm ready for other fights, again and again. Because this is a necessity. So you can count on me. I will fight for AI. I will fight for wake-up call for competitiveness for Europe. I will fight for more defense and security answers as Europeans. And I will fight for the maximum level of ambition on all these issues